The Education Department in KwaZulu-Natal says it's making progress in its efforts to safely reopen the province's flood-affected schools. Thousands of pupils returned to class for the first time today after 2 weeks. KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education HOD Nkosinathi Ngcobo joins us now live. Thanks for your time, we appreciate it. Where do you stand in terms of the number of schools that have now reopened and those that are still remaining closed?
Thank you very much, Shahan. When we reopened on Tuesday last week after the Easter holiday, we had 102 schools that were totally inaccessible. That has now reduced to 72 schools that are still inaccessible. All others are open and the learners are coming to school. We have been monitoring attendance throughout last week, the 4 days that we had last week and today, and we are seeing a steady improvement in terms of attendance. In fact, by Friday, our attendance in the majority of our districts was actually quite normal. The absences there were quite understandable in that we were at about 95 to 99%. But in 3 districts, Ilembe, Pinetown, and Umlazi, the attendance was still not that good. Those were the most affected districts. But even there, the attendance was now beginning to get into the 80s in terms of percentage.
Yeah. You still say that there are 72 schools that are inaccessible, which is quite worrying. Is the damage so extreme that it looks like it's going to be closed for the next week or so?
Yes, in some cases it is, but you know, the schools themselves have no problem. It's just the access bridges and roads leading to them. But what's been happening is that as the water subsides on those bridges that were covered in water, you know, the number of schools now are able to operate has been increasing. If it doesn't rain, we pray it doesn't. You know, we are hoping that the number of accessible schools will increase. In some districts, although the school is inaccessible, it's generally inaccessible by car, but you can cross the river on foot, and there have been very innovative ways that teachers have been using to get to the school, because they are the ones who usually get closed out on the other side of the bridge, and learners usually are on the school side of the bridge. And we have a community in Uku district where one teacher has volunteered his bakkie to fetch his colleagues. You know, they drop their cars on one side of the bridge and get community members to watch, to look after their cars, and then cross the bridge, and the colleague takes them to their various schools. So it's innovative ways in various communities that are also assisting in the accessibility of schools that would otherwise have been totally inaccessible. The Department of Transport, of course, is on board in terms of trying to repair the roads, and we've asked them to prioritize those bridges and roads that lead to our schools. And of course, they are overwhelmed because it's the whole province, but we are working very well with our sister departments to ensure that you know, our schools do get accessible. In the meantime, we have alternative ways of trying to assist our learners, those that cannot access their schools.
Talk to me about the mobile classrooms and when that's going to be in place.
The mobile classrooms, you know, after following, of course, the normal, the procurement procedures, you know, 74 of them now are going to be put up during the course of this week. In fact, as many as about 28 of our schools, they will be there tomorrow to start assembling, you know, mobile classrooms. Where there will be a slight delay, but that delay will probably be about 48-hour delay, is in situations where the suppliers had issues of compliance with tax, and they were dealing with that with SARS. And once they have sorted out their tax issues, because they are compliant in every respect, and they have stock of these mobile classrooms, they will be commencing before the end of this week to put them up. But those that have already been cleared, I'm talking suppliers now, will be commencing as early as tomorrow.
Can you talk me through this process? Because the KwaZulu-Natal government, of course, has gone out to assure the public that these funds will not be looted, they won't be given to people who don't know how to do the job properly. So what measures do you have in place to ensure this doesn't happen?
In relation to mobile classrooms, we already had, a pre-approved suppliers who we sourced through a bid. We advertised a bid, and they went through a process, so they are already in our database, and they've already been pre-approved as suppliers, and that was done even before this current disaster, because we've had floods before. It's just that this one was the worst, so we were basically ready in that respect of providing mobile classrooms. So they were procured correctly, following all the processes that are necessary, and they comply with the standards that we actually require. Even for classrooms now, where there are going to be repairs, we will ensure that the supply chain management processes are followed strictly, so that when we are audited, we are not found to be non-compliant on anything. B, when the suppliers start, or the building constructors start, that they comply with the regulated norms and standards for our school infrastructure.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education Head Nkosinathi Ngcobo.